Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Ray in today's episode of Multitasking Theater, where I am out on my morning constitutional. And what a better time than now to talk the transfer portal. Spring transfer portal has opened up, and already Badger Nation is putting out their wish lists of players that they are looking for the Badgers to add. And it seems to be that the key things that Badger fans are looking for is players who have a pulse, preferably have a first and last name, and have played football at some level. Because pretty much every player I see who's put out in the transfer portal, some fan is putting out, yeah, he's got to come to Madison. We need this, we need that. Okay, which I like the enthusiasm. But let's look at the spring transfer portal with a focus on needs over wants. First thing we have to make sure we pay attention to. Right now, the Badgers are currently over the scholarship limit. Now, in the day of NIL, and I've said this many times, I don't think scholarships matter much anymore. Because I've said it in the past, schools are offering NIL deals to walk-ons to cover tuition. So I'm not worried necessarily about the transfer or the scholarship limit. However, we'd like to keep it as close to 85 as we can. And right now we're over. So what does that mean? It means that if we are looking at the portal, it's first going to start with how many players we lose and where we lose them. That is going to be the key starting point in the portal. Okay, so far we have had 2 players enter. I think 2 players that were kind of expected. To be honest, I thought we would have heard Nick Evers' name in the portal earlier. Okay, give him credit for sticking out as long as he has. But you could tell by his body language all season that this was a long time coming. And then TJ Bowlers, a player who cultivated mass, let's say, cultivated mass to the point where he bulked himself out of position, the first position, and excuse me, maybe doesn't have the patience to keep learning another position where he's already behind the 8 ball. All right, so we've lost a quarterback and a defensive lineman. Of those 2, defensive line is the priority. We do have 4 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. So quarterback, I don't think necessarily would be a priority right now. So defensive line is where we're looking first. Now, it is very important when you're looking at potential targets to not just look at the 2 letters that goes next to his name to signify the position he's playing. Just because he's listed as a defensive lineman does not mean he is a fit for what the Badgers need. Okay, we are not looking for 4-3 rush ends. We don't need them because that's not the system we're in. And guys who are entering the portal now are not entering looking to completely start over. They are looking to enter to fill a role that's already determined. So we're not looking to cross-train guys over the summer, get ready for fall camp. So we're looking for defensive ends, but we're looking for defensive ends that play within a 3-3-3-4 system. So that means if we're looking for an end, we're looking for a 5-tech who can play on the edge on rundowns, a field side type defensive end who's going to hold the edge while we have a 4-down look with an outside linebacker on the boundary side. in a four-man surface and hold that front side edge, where the pass rush on the front side is coming from the linebackers. Okay, it's also a defensive end type that in pass rushing situations can be kicked in. Okay, play a 3-tech, play a 4-eye, and provide interior pass rush. We're not looking for pass rush right now from a defensive line or for a defensive end, because systematically that's not the direction we're going. So when you're looking in the portal and you're seeing 6'3", 240-pound defensive ends, those aren't the guys we're looking for. We're looking for outside linebackers that fit that body type, but with different mobility and different movement skills. So we're looking for a system fit for the defensive end. And a system fit is a field side run stopping end who can kick inside on passing downs. That's what we're looking for with the defensive line. Nose tackle would be great. Okay? Could always use an extra one there. But I think that that run stopping 5-tech who can kick inside is more of a need. And again, excuse me. In a system like how we run, it's very similar to the system we did before. It's not going to attract the 4- and 5-star defensive line prospects, even guys on bounce backs, because our defensive line has a very specific role. And it's a very unsung role. A lot about taking on blocks, taking on double teams, holding edges. Okay? It's not about the things that usually gets guys drafted high. The guys from Wisconsin who get drafted playing within the system that we have this year, the one we've had before, are either generational talents or solid role players. Okay? It's the difference between why most of the defensive linemen we have are guys like Keanu Benton, generational type for Wisconsin, or Matt Henningsen, a serviceable interior defensive lineman. But we're not cultivating those 6'6" long edge rushers, anything like that, because that's not what the system is. So, system fit is what we're looking for. Excuse me. So, that's defensive line. Next thing that I want to think about in terms of the portal is a swing tackle. So right now, it's looking like if the season started today, our swing tackle would be a true freshman, a highly touted and very skilled one, Kevin Haywood, but a true freshman. So I would want to look for a guy with a couple years of eligibility left who is willing to be a swing guy this year and have a chance to compete next year with a couple years of eligibility left going forward. So again, we're not looking for a guy coming in to be a starter. We have two solid starting tackles. We're looking for a guy to come in and fill a role, be that swing tackle. Be that swing tackle that we really didn't have last year. Now, we lost a few guys in the portal so far this year for the offensive line. We lost a guy who was too big to play guard and too slow to play tackle. And then we lost a 5-star tackle with legs skinnier than most tight ends. But that means we're short a tackle. And we're short a swing offensive lineman. So now we can look to get the guy who kind of fits down the middle of those two guys. Solid tackle, maybe a young guy with a little bit of starting experience, or a young guy with a couple years left who's willing to sit on the bench a little bit and be that swing guy, or be a development guy down the road to fill in the gap between our current fifth-year seniors and then our incoming freshmen. That's the gap we want to fill. Would it be good to get an interior lineman with center experience? Sure. But I think Joe Huber can be that swing guy inside to play all three interior spots if we need to move a guy around. I think he can also kick out and play right tackle. I think he's the solid number 2 center. I think he would be okay even being the starter if Renfro went down. Would be nice to get another guy. I know they're cross. I think it's Cubberly that they're training up to be a center. So down the road, I think we're good. But short term, quick, what we need now to fill a role is that swing tackle. Looking forward, sure, we could every position on the roster, I think with the exception of inside linebacker and maybe corner, could use an upgrade. However, unless we lose multiple guys, we don't have the room on the roster to pick up too many extra guys. Also, a lot of the guys who are coming out now, I don't think fit the profile of the University of Wisconsin in a lot of those positions. So we can't be digging too deep and think wholesale changing the roster. It's about filling holes we have now. We changed the roster via high school recruiting and the fall, winter transfer portal. So if there are a couple spots we can look forward and maybe adding an extra guy if we lose a couple bodies. I did mention quarterback. I think we have 4. I think we're solid 1, 2. We got some young guys filling 3 and 4. So what would we be looking for in potentially a 5th scholarship quarterback? To me, that would be a guy who's a redshirt junior, okay, a guy with a year or 2 of eligibility who potentially has some position flexibility, meaning a guy who could come in, and I don't want to say necessarily a gadget guy, but a guy who could play quarterback, but also has the ability to either help on special teams, maybe bump to a secondary position, get some reps. Because again, we have 4 quarterbacks. We'd like a 5th, but if we get a young guy, that's going to log jam the proceedings going forward. Okay, because we have currently right now, we have a 6th-year senior, a redshirt sophomore, a redshirt freshman, and a true freshman. Okay? So we don't want to add anybody in Mabry's class. We don't want to add anybody in the Cruz class. Okay? We don't want to add anybody in Locke's class, because we got a quarterback in each of those. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a guy that bridges between TBD and Locke. So to me, that would be either a senior with a COVID year or a redshirt junior with a redshirt year left. So a guy who has 2 years of eligibility, and again, with potentially with position flexibility. We also have an intriguing prospect coming in as a walk-on who could fit that kind of role, that big body kid out of Minnesota. And I'm not going to butcher his name here, but put it across the screen there at the ball. Milos, I believe is his name. He'll be that 5th quarterback for practice. So it's not like we're not going to be able to get our work done. But if we're looking for a quarterback to help on the roster, redshirt junior with position flexibility would be great. Other than that, I keep seeing people calling out that we need a boundary wide receiver. Remember, in Phil Longo's system, his receivers stay on the same side. It's right and left. So the idea of a boundary receiver is very limited. So then our thoughts go to, do we just need a wide receiver? Maybe, but again, it's a luxury. I like the potential of the guys we have. And if we go to the portal and pull a guy, especially with a little bit extra eligibility, we're going to end up losing guys going into the season, going into the fall transfer window. So I say at the wide receiver spot, let's run with the horses we got. Let's run with Bryson Green and C.J. Williams and Vinny Anthony and Quincy Burrows. I'm okay with those because the younger guys we heard there, the Vinny Anthonys and the Quincy Burrows, are stepping up and performing in spring ball. So I don't think we need to really stop their development. I think they're ready to take a next step. Bryson Green and C.J. Williams, Bryson looked good at times last year. C.J. flashed, but never, it's all about his potential. But do we want C.J. Williams to become the next Nick Evers? I think we've got to let him play and let him either sink or swim, kick him out of the nest, and be the quarterback or be the receiver that he's supposed to be. So I don't think we need another wide receiver. I think we're set at slot receiver. I think we've got 4 slot receivers or 3 slots and a guy who could flex in Tyrell Henry. So I think receivers, while maybe the talent is not to where we want it to be, I think it's pretty solid. And the numbers are solid. So to add somebody, we're going to have to lose somebody. If we lose somebody, okay, then let's look to bring somebody in. Again, another development guy. But we can't just say bring somebody in. Again, another development guy. But we can't just say, oh, I want this guy, I want that guy. It's got to be a system fit. He's got to fit a hole that's in the roster. And we have to be mindful of the scholarship limit. Again, right now we're at 87. We're supposed to be 85 when we get to fall camp. Now, again, some of these guys might be technically walk-ons with their tuition covered through NIL. I don't know. I don't care. The number is going to be fine when we get there. But there is a limit, so we can't be just picking everybody we see. So, that's all we need to talk about today with the transfer portal. I am not going to come in and mention any names. Why? Because I don't care. I don't care about names. I don't care about where they played. But I will say this. No. That guy from Ohio State, that guy from Alabama, that guy from wherever, he ain't coming to Wisconsin. He's not. If you want Wisconsin to still hold on to the values that it held on to up until now, up until this second, I believe Luke Fickell follows the same Wisconsin values. We don't want those guys. Okay? There are going to be things about them that are going to prevent them from fitting into the culture and to what Wisconsin football is about. Okay? Those 5-star type guys, we got to try to get them into high school recruiting, because there they come in bought into a program and a culture. Getting guys from big schools in the spring transfer portal, you got to think, why are they in the portal? When, especially, the Alabamas and stuff like that, they've had their coaching change. And then came to spring ball. Spring ball is too tough, whatever. And then they transfer. So, I don't care about the names. I care that they fit the role. I don't care where they played. I care that they fit the role. And that's what we're looking for in the spring transfer portal. All right, so that's it for today. Almost home. Perfect timing. Thank you for watching or listening. Hopefully I've cleaned up the audio enough where you're not hearing the incessant wind as I'm walking down the street. And yeah, that's it for the spring transfer portal. Thanks for watching.